So thanks for the great introduction. I really appreciate to be here. So we've got a lot of ground to cover in a short time, so let me get on with this. What I've got is my five-step checklist that I use when I'm writing every email that I put out. So you guys will know Mindvalley. Who knows Mindvalley and how many emails they send out? Who's ever signed up to a Mindvalley email list or a product or a free masterclass or something like that? So you guys know just how important the written word is. And when we send out millions of emails per month, you've really got to get that right. That's why I've put together this quick slideshow about just some of the tips and tricks that I use every day when I'm writing the emails. I'll give you a mercifully brief introduction to myself. I'm a very senior copywriter, as was mentioned. I've been doing this for about, 14 years now, so it's been a while. I've been based in Malaysia the last couple of years, but before that I was working from home back in Australia. And what I do is I specialise in writing the emails that sell. I don't write so many web pages. I don't really write any blog posts or stuff like that. I write the emails that people sign up for that need to sell Mindvalley events and courses, masterclasses, all of that. So what I'm going to cover is how to write that email copy that sells. So you need to grow your business online, no matter what business you're in. I'm going to talk about how to contact the leads and convert them into buyers. So it's easy enough to start contacting people, especially when they're responding to an ad on one of the websites. But to turn them into a buyer or a customer or a client, there's a few tricks that I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. And one of those tricks is actually how to keep them engaged with you, because 9 out of 10 people won't turn into a buyer the first time that you speak to them via an email. It can take anywhere from 6 to 10 to 18 times you touch them, whether it's an email, a phone call or whatever, before they actually turn into a buyer sometimes. So as you guys would know from experience, so the first time you contact someone, only a portion of those actually end up giving you money. The thing about some of the things I'm going to cover is it's easy to become what I call a Facebook expert and post some information that you've heard someone also post, so it's all recycled and you share someone else's post. But what most people talk about copywriting is actually dead wrong. But working in Mindvalley and for freelance clients, I actually know from experience what it takes to do that. Now, I don't say this to impress anyone, just to impress upon you the fact that I'm just an ordinary guy and I learnt it, so you guys can learn it too. One of those things that people keep saying is that email marketing is dead, and that's something that couldn't be further from the truth. It is true that it's getting harder to actually compete and actually get responses from your emails, get real results, because people have got thousands and thousands of advertising messages coming at them per day. You've got in-app notifications, you've got SMS marketing, you've got browser notifications. It's all a lot of clutter for people taking in every day, whether it's on the computer or on their phone. And emails are still very important. It doesn't mean they're going anywhere. They're still the best bang for your buck that you can get. The secret is to get good at writing them, so you actually get responses from the ones that you do right. If you're running any kind of advertising, advertising expensive, you must get a return on that investment. So there are different ways to track that, but whatever you spend on maybe a Facebook ad or a listing on a site, whatever it is, you need to get a return on that investment. So what I'm going to share with you guys here is some simple ways to do that. Email marketing is what I call the low-hanging fruit. And that basically means, it's right there. It's so easy to just pick off the low-hanging fruit without having to become an awesome copywriter, or without having to hire a copywriting team, or without having to outsource this expensively, you can do that like relatively easily when you follow these tips. This is for you if you want to get more listings and more clients. If you're already sending emails and you want to maximize the money that you're making. If you already have some kind of an email list and you're making less than even 5,000 ringgit a month, this will really increase what you're doing there. No Facebook, that has probably already been covered. What I can do is I can make these slides available for anyone to download. I can upload them to my server tonight, so you guys don't need to take too many notes. And some of them will be a bit hard to read in an event environment like this, so just focus on the content that we're doing. If we have time at the end, I tend to talk pretty fast, and while we do have a short time, there may be some time for Q&A. If we have time, I can do that from the stage. If not, then I'll be out the back of the room later, and you can catch up with me then. My results aren't any remotely typical, so don't take this as any guarantee that of success or any amount of money that you'll make. I'm just showing you what's worked for me and how to implement that in your own practice. So I kind of started off slow. This is where I came from. It took me a while to get traction, so I'm kind of a slow learner and a stubborn guy. So it took me a while to embed these principles in my thinking. I started off selling on eBay, but people started to ask me to write their eBay listings, and I soon found that I could make more money with less effort than selling stuff on eBay and lining up at the post office and sending all that stuff off. Did not get rich from that. What I did, I bought tons of get-rich-quick programs. They're everywhere, and I'm sure you guys have seen these around the place too. What else did I buy? Didn't make it, didn't become a millionaire there either. What I did was I came up with a way to build an email list from eBay using the system to make that on autopilot. I rarely sent out any emails to them, so I wasn't building that relationship. I wasn't actually doing the things that I'm talking about today. And it just so happens that things got so bad, I ended up living in a tent for a few nights, sort of between places. That was kind of a low point for me. Wasn't exactly on the street, but a tent is not exactly the Hilton. So what I did on that time, I was with my partner at the time, and I sat there and I swore to her that things would never be that bad again. That I would never ignore the copywriting principles that we're going to talk about today that result in that kind of financial situation. The way I got out of that whole thing was actually decided to study all the copywriting masters. I decided to study actual marketing principles, some of which I'm going to share with you, instead of trying all the gimmicks that I had done before. I invested money that I didn't have in copywriting courses like Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, Gary Halbert, Frank Kern, Eben Pagan, John Carlton. These are all very successful copywriters that you can study their materials. I bought their stuff, and I didn't really have the money. And I committed to following their teachings. Before I was one of those bright, shiny object guys, where I was looking at this opportunity, then this opportunity, then this opportunity. And you can make a quick buck that way, but for long-term success, I wanted to know those principles. Now I live what some people call the laptop lifestyle. I've been based in Malaysia the past couple of years, but that's by choice. I'm working with Mind Valley, and it's such an easy country for an expat to live in. But the reality is that I could do this from anywhere. I could write for clients and do it literally from anywhere in the world. And during that time, that past couple of years I've been in Malaysia, I've worked on a lot of 7-figure funnels for Mindvalley and other clients, using different methodologies, but all using the same principles that we're going to go through here today. So let's get on with the stuff that we're going to learn today. I call it the age of distraction. Like I said before, there's so much clutter, so many advertising messages coming into people. It doesn't mean email doesn't work. It means that you've got to get good at writing them. You've got to be able to write good subject lines. You've got to be able to build the relationship with the people you're emailing to. But I'm going to show you how to do that. I use the 5 pillars of email marketing every time I sit down and write an email campaign. The first one's your list. And that might be a set list that you have of prospects or clients. It might be just people coming in through inquiries from sites. However you start the relationship, having a list is where it's at. Who's here heard the term, the money is in the list? Has anyone heard people say that? Money is in the list? Because people have said, the money is in the list. And that kind of means the bigger email list you can build, then the more money you'll make. But the actual truth is that's not actually true. The money is actually in the relationship that you build with the list. So, I could go out and buy 1 million emails tomorrow, but they don't know who the hell I am. Why would they buy anything from me? So, without building that relationship first. Subject lines are the headline for your email. So that's the very first thing that people see, obviously, when they get an email from you. So I'm going to show you how to write good ones. Images that sell. This is so underutilized in email marketing, whether people are fielding inquiries or whether they have an automated sequence. This is something that not enough people use, and it's really it's that low-hanging fruit that I talked about. I'll show you exactly what to do there as well. Storytelling. Now, I'm not a natural kind of storytelling kind of guy. I just use a few simple tricks, which I'll show you how to create interesting stories to put in your emails, and something that I call inboxing, which is basically, if I send an email, that's one thing, but what we're going to work on here is to give us the best chance possible of actually landing in the inbox. So your list is a really important part of this. What's the story of your list? Where do they come from? Is your list congruent with your core message that you're trying to communicate? This can be tricky when you're kind of fielding inquiries haphazardly as they come in. But if you build a house list of prospects who you're communicating with, you want to think about what they want, why they contacted you. Do they still interact or engage? If they're not clicking on any of your links, if they're not opening any of your emails, that's not like a break-even, no result. It actually hurts your email marketing campaigns. When's the last time you mailed them? This is something that Mindvalley, obviously finds very easy. We have whole teams dedicated to daily emails, posting content and all that stuff. So if you're smaller than Mindvalley, you don't need to mail every day. I used to teach people that you have to mail every day, and that's relevant for someone with the amount of content they do. But any one of us guys will do better from a frequency of about 2 to 3 emails per week. People come onto your list because they want something from you. Obviously, that's self-evident, but you've got to take that into account when you're writing to them. But they don't want your sales pitch necessarily. I mean, they want to buy something eventually. But if you've ever unsubscribed from someone's email list, if you've gotten tired of the emails that they're sending you, the reason for that usually isn't because they send too many sales pitches. The reason we unsubscribe from people's emails and don't allow them to email us anymore because they don't give us any value. You've got to make your emails interesting and valuable, and then you're also allowed to sell something after that. It's about building the relationship. So don't. The worst thing that you can do is actually, treat your email list as a series of email addresses in your database. They're real human beings just like you and me, so always remember that. The second point is the subject lines. Like I said, subject lines are the headline for your email, because it doesn't matter how good you write the email. If it never gets opened, obviously they can never click through to whatever you want them to click through to. If it never gets opened, they can't read the information that you sent them. If it never gets opened, you can't build the relationship that you need to build in order to provide that value. Because people's inboxes are overflowing. Is anyone else here, am I the only one that's got one of those free email addresses where they sign up to everyone's email list? So that comes in all the marketing emails. So that's one tip to improve your email marketing. Get on everyone's email list that you can. Sign up for all the free things. Mindvalue is a great place to start with signing up for free masterclasses and free courses that they offer. So that shows you the kind of emails, and you can obviously not copy them outright, but you can get inspiration for the way they write emails. And you'll get some of my emails that way, and you'll get some of the other copywriters' emails. So the reality with people's inbox is even if they've initiated the conversation, if they've responded to your ad on a website, you still only get a tiny slice of their attention every day. So you need to make the most of that. It's like Vishen Lakhiani is the CEO of Mindvalue, which you probably would have seen him around the place. I don't send emails to him anymore because his inbox is just too overflowing. He has a few priority emails that he replies to, but basically, it's best if you can catch up with him in person. So he's one example of a busy person. He would be a great prospect for many of us in the room, but you struggle to get into his email box. When you write the subject line, the shorter the better. Think of when you check your email on your phone. I mean, you've got a little tiny space there for your subject line, and it's really tempting to write a longer subject line, and you start off with a bit of something, and you have the real benefit of the second half of the sentence, and it ends up like 50 characters or more. The reality is that often people don't see that. Typical open rates for a good-sized email list, if you're sending out a broadcast email to a list, a good open rate is 10 to 20%. So the reality is that most people really aren't opening your emails. If you're in a more one-on-one interaction, like many of us in here, then that open rate will be a lot higher. But either way, I mean, look at email on your phone, and you'll see how little space you've got to actually do that. Here's some examples from my own platform, which I'll show you. The green writing is probably a bit hard to read if you're in the back, so I'll read this out, and again, you'll be able to download these slides later. This one reads, "Are you online? We're live in about 90 minutes." So, you've got a laser pointer here. No, is that one? The first part of the subject line is really, really personal. So it says, "Are you online?" and then question mark. So that's like, I'm sending to a friend, "Are you online?" And we're live in about 90 minutes. Obviously, I had a webinar planned, that was coming up in about an hour and a half. This one's the personal consultation is gone, but the huge swipe file is still there. So this is a bit of a longer one. And I was offering a personal consultation previously, which has now expired. but a huge swipe file is there. So your swipe file is that email address that you sign up for to get everyone's emails coming to you, so you've got some inspiration. Here's one after I'd run a masterclass or a webinar, whatever you want to call it. Missed the masterclass. Here's the recording. So that's six words, pretty short. So that's why I got a really good open rate here. And it speaks to people who missed the masterclass or the webinar and to watch the recording of that.